Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Arundhati Ramnan and here are the top headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. Sensex and Nifty end marginally in the green after a range-bound session, but mid-caps perk up in trade with that index gaining nearly 1%. Infosys bags an order worth $454 million from Denmark's Danske Bank. The 5-year deal involves Infosys acquiring the bank's IT center in India. Shares of ICICI Securities hit a 52-week high. The company's board will consider a proposal to delist shares from the exchanges this Thursday. Sources say the proposal will involve shareholders getting ICICI Bank shares in exchange for ICICI Securities shares instead of cash. After Prime Minister Modi's state visit, India set to remove retaliatory duties on 8 American products, including apples, chickpeas and lentils. These duties were imposed 4 years ago after US levied additional taxes on Indian steel and aluminium. Pen maker Flair Writing challenges the territorial jurisdiction of Director General of GST Intelligence at the Gujarat High Court. Question show cause notices issued by Surat Unit for tax transactions in Maharashtra and Uttarakhand. The court issues notices to the government and the GST body. Initial public offering of India's largest drone maker, Forge, fully subscribed by afternoon on the first day of bidding. The retail portion gets subscribed 9 times. The company plans to raise 570 crore rupees. Bids can be placed till the 29th of June. The government distances itself from full-page public interest ads featuring social media content creators, along with the IT Ministry's logo. Minister of State Rajiv Chandrasekhar says the ads do not mean the government endorses the content creators featured in them. Adds that private platforms have been advised to be more careful when using government logos in awareness campaigns. Russia seeks to restore calm after the Wagner mercenary group halted its advance on Moscow. Belarus brokers peace between the mercenaries and Kremlin. The aborted mutiny in Russia reveals cracks in Putin's government, says US Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Banks indicate they need more time to implement the new FEMA rules imposing a 20% tax collected at source on forex transactions. Say software and operational issues make a July 1 rollout difficult. Travel agents and tour operators write to the Prime Minister requesting that some of the tax rate hikes be rolled back. Protesting wrestlers say their fight against the Federation chief Brij Bhushan Singh will happen in court and not on the road. Say their demand for a charge sheet has been fulfilled as they await the results of the Federation elections in 2 weeks. Singh is facing allegations of sexual misconduct, among others. Let's start with the big story this evening with IT giant Infosys, which has bagged a $454 million deal from Denmark's Danske Bank. The 5-year deal will entail Infosys acquiring Danske Bank's IT center in India. Rima Tendulkar joins us now. Rima, big order there for Infosys.
Thanks so much for that. So a Nordic bank called Danske Bank has selected Infosys as its digital transformation partner. The estimated deal value is $454 million, spread over 5 years, with an option to extend the deal by 1 year for a maximum period of 3 years. As a part of this deal, the company will also acquire the captive center of this bank, which is based in Bengaluru and houses nearly 1,400 employees. And the cost of acquisition of this Bengaluru center will be about 16.3 crores. And the company expects this transaction to be completed by Q2 of this year, which means in the next 3 months. So it's a fairly large deal won by Infosys.
Right, big deal there for Infosys. Thank you so much for those details, Rima. Now, India's biggest drone maker, Forge, launched its IPO today. The company aims to raise over 500 crore rupees. Now, the IPO has been oversubscribed 2.5 times on day one itself. Retail investors topped the bidding list by subscribing over 9 times, followed by employees bidding 6 times of the shares on offer and non-institutional investors almost 3 times. ICICI Securities will likely consider a proposal to delist shares from the exchanges at its board meet this Thursday. The move is likely to see shareholders receive ICICI Bank shares as part of the proposed scheme of arrangement. Now, the company's shares hit a 52-week high on the news. To the latest in the cash-strapped Go First insolvency case, CNBC-TV18 has learned that the lenders to the airline have given an in-principle nod to extend interim financing to the airline in a voting process that ended over the weekend. Now, sources say post this key approval, the Go First resolution professional may soon be able to submit a revival plan to the aviation regulator DGCA. Ritu Singh has been tracking that story and has all of those details. Ritu, what are you picking up?
That's right. We've been given to understand from our sources that the resolution professional of Go First is likely to submit a resumption plan for the airline within a week's time, which marks a key step really in the ongoing efforts to revive Go First. Now, we understand that this resumption plan for the airline is going to be submitted to the DGCA for its consideration and clearance, and will propose to start operations as soon as possible with about 26 aircraft that are currently in the airline's possession. Now, this comes after the Committee of Creditors to Go First, we'd reported earlier, gave an in-principle nod to extend interim financing to the tune of about 425 crores or more to help the airline to restart operations and also manage the day-to-day expenses. However, do note this is still a conditional nod. Lenders we've been speaking to indicate that the final nod is going to be contingent on Go First getting the security clearance and the no objection certificate from the DGCA for the airline to resume operations. Only once that is in place will banks then approach their individual boards for a green signal to extend the fresh loan. Now, financing is going to be a critical component for the airline to resume operations, and therefore this in-principle approval of source from lenders is going to strengthen the airline's case before the DGCA. That's where all eyes are now going to be. As of now, Go First has cancelled its flights till the 28th of June as it puts this, revival plan together. The airline, remember, was admitted into the bankruptcy court last month as dues of more than 6,500 crores to banks like Central Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, IDBI Bank and others.
Right, so flights stand cancelled till the 28th of June. All right, Ritu, thank you so much for those details. Now to all the market action of the day. Markets closed with minor gains after a range-bound session. Sensex Nifty ended marginally in the green, while mid-caps perked up in trade, with that index gaining nearly 1%. Reliance, TCS and HDFC Bank dragged the market, while Adani stocks recouped a part of its Friday losses. Prashant Nair joins us now with all of the day's market action. Prashant?
Well, it was neither here nor there for the benchmark indices, the Nifty. There was a bit of a movement in the first one and a half hours of trade, and after that, nothing at all. I mean, actually, for about a few hours, the market was blinking red and green. Towards the close, there was a 20-25 point move, and that's the change that you see on the screen. Similar kind of price action for the Nifty Bank as well. Mid-caps and small caps improved, vastly improved in the last 60 minutes of trade, and more stocks went up as compared to went down. I'll get to stocks there in just a bit. Let's get to the Nifty gainers and losers. So gains include coming through in Cipla, Adani Enterprises, Hero, Tata Consumer, Divi's Laboratories and Mahindra, which went up. In the broader space and long list of volume-led gainers once again, ICICI Securities, of course, the delisting playing through. Mazgaon Defense, I mean actually not just Mazgaon but Garden Reach Shipbuilders was another one which did well. HCC, big blocks last week, big volumes participating today. Policy Bazaar, that is PB Fintech, had an analyst meet. Aavas Financiers perked up. Parag Milk was a big gainer. Spark, JBM Auto, Saregama, Gillette, Friday big move, today big move, and something like a Genus Power did quite well as well. On the downside, from the large caps, Shree Cements perhaps was the only noticeable loser. It was down 10%, ended about 5% lower. You had in the broader space, Apollo Tyres, which lost. Landmark, which is the premium auto dealership, which lost. Rolex Rings came off quite a bit, and Credit Access was lower as well. So it's a kind of a holding pattern kind of a day, not very much to take away. The Nifty has held on to the 20-day moving average, although I think we'll need a day or two more of evidence to say that all is clear after last Thursday and Friday's wobble that we saw. Back to you.
All right, Prashant, many thanks for those details. Now, the central government is planning to remove additional duties on 8 American imports, including apples, chickpeas and lentils. Now, this comes days after Prime Minister Modi's state visit to America. The duties were imposed way back in 2019 in retaliation in response to America's measure to increase tariffs on certain steel and aluminium products. Abhimanyu Sharma joins us now with the latest. Abhimanyu, what are you picking up?
Well, it seems that this is a response to the decision taken by the US to exempt 70% of requests on steel and 80% of requests on aluminium from India from additional scrutiny. And India has also decided to remove retaliatory duties on 8 American products. Government sources have told CNBC-TV18 that an additional duty of 20% each on fresh apples, boric acid, diagnostic reagents, lentils and walnuts will go, apart from 10% additional duty on chickpeas, 7 rupees per kilogram on dried or fresh almonds, and rupees 20 per kilogram on shelled almonds. Sources have added that the end of retaliatory duties against the US by October 2023 will not impact the Indian market beyond affecting a change in the market share of different suppliers, as only retaliatory duties will be removed and products like American apples will now compete with Iran and other countries for a pie of the Indian market. In 2018, the US had levied 25% import duty on steel and 10% import duty on many aluminium products from India, citing reasons of national security, which had prompted imposition of retaliatory duties by India on as many as 20 American products in June 2019.
All right, Abhimanyu, many thanks for those details. Now, travel companies and banks are not ready yet to start collecting 20% TCS on foreign spends from the 1st of July. While banks have sought an extension in the deadline, tour operators are urging the government to roll back the 20% rate to the earlier rate of 5%. Sapna Das joins us now with more. Sapna, what are your banking sources telling you at this point?
Well, clearly, apart from the fact that tour, companies or whatever you may call them, the industry associations, have been pitching on a rate rollback to 5% from the current 20%, which the government has announced in the budget. While that is an ongoing issue, I think more critical would be the fact that from July 1 onwards, many of the banks, this is their view as of now, that they're not in a position to basically bring in this new regime. And the reasons that they mention are pretty much clear. They say that if there are going to be multiple TCS rates, then collecting that tax at source is going to be an issue. For instance, as of now, you have 5% on a lot of items under LRS. You also have a different rate for health and a different rate for education loans. But now you will also have, or at least that's what the government has said, the 7 lakh rupee exemption for spend on international debit and credit cards. So that 7 lakh rupee exemption, could create issues. Up to then, it's going to be 0, and then beyond 7 lakhs, it's going to be 20% as of now. Now, in the past, both the Revenue Department and the Chief Economic Advisor both have indicated very clearly that there will be a clarification soon out, which will basically answer all these queries. But I think the fundamental issue here is that banks are indicating that they will take time, much beyond July 1, to get these systems in place. And they also are waiting for this clarity to come in from the government that, what are going to be the rates exactly? Is 20% going to remain beyond 7 lakhs? Up to 7 lakhs is going to be 0, and it's going to be mode neutral, irrespective of the kind of financial instrument that you're using. It's going to be for all categories, or again within that you will have some specifications, maybe even beyond beyond 7 lakhs. If that exemption remains, is it going to be 5% as what industry has been demanding, or is government going to do a complete 5%? So these are views and various demands and suggestions coming in from the industry. I think the issue is completely in a state of flux, and the government should come out quickly with a clarification on this front and indicate if July 1 deadline is going to be met.
Right, Sapna. So some issues there. Banks, travel companies not ready for 20% TCS from July 1st. Thank you so much for those details. Meanwhile, EdTech startup baijus has reportedly reached out directly to investors, assuring them that the company will release its financials and strengthen its accounting process. A report by Bloomberg has suggested that the company's co-founder, Baiju Ravindran, spoke to investors saying that they are on track to finalize their financials for 2022 by the end of September, after replacing their auditors. But more trouble for the baijus. Several employees have accused the company of not depositing the Provident Fund component of their salaries. According to EPFO data accessed by Money Control, the company failed to make PF contributions with a lag of almost 3 to 4 months. The data also highlighted that for some employees, baijus made PF contributions for December only in June. Shares of Ipca Laboratories came under pressure after the U.S. Food and Drug Administration flagged issues with its facilities in Madhya Pradesh. The drug regulator issued Form 483 with 8 observations after concluding an inspection on the 23rd of June. Ipca Lab said it will submit a comprehensive response on these observations to the regulator. Pen maker Flair Writing has challenged the territorial jurisdiction of Director General of GST Intelligence at the Gujarat High Court. The company questioned show cause notices issued by the Surat unit for tax transactions in Maharashtra and Uttarakhand. Timsy Jaipuria is standing by with all of those details. Timsy?
Well, as you rightly said, that Flair Writing Industries has actually challenged the DGGI's jurisdictional authorities, the territorial jurisdictions, and if this particular matter gets in favor of Flair, then this could be a major blow to DGGI and rather a big boost for the industry. What we are given to understand is that on 13th of July, now Gujarat High Court has asked Union of India and DGGI to reply and file their responses. And Flair Industries is actually now looking at as to how come the other jurisdictions of DGGI are bound to issue notices to these matters in other jurisdictions. To be fair, this is like industry challenging the powers of DGGI, and now Gujarat High Court has addressed the controversy as to assess whether DGGI can issue show cause notices to the companies outside their territorial jurisdictions. This was by a quorum of Justice Vipul M. Pancholi and Justice Deven M. Desai, who have now issued notices to Union of India and DGGI. Let's see what is the response that DGGI submits by 13th of July.
All right, Sapna, we'll wait for those details. Thank you so much for that. On that note, it is time for a short break. But coming up, the government distances itself from full-page public interest ads featuring social media content creators, along with the IT Ministry's logo. Details when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still with us on Business 360. Financial influencers who've been on the regulatory radar are in the news again. An advertisement with a photograph of YouTube-based CA Rachna Ranade appeared across national dailies along with the IT Ministry logo. Minister of State Rajiv Chandrasekhar clarified the ads do not mean the government endorses the content creators. Shivani Bazaz joins us now with the details. Shivani, tell us more about these ads and the outcry behind it.
Well, yes, the new advertisement featuring YouTuber CA Rachna Ranade has sparked a new debate on social media and has angered a lot of registered investment advisors too. Remember, the problem with this particular ad is that it has logos of MeitY and India G20 seemingly showcasing their support to the advertisement. Many financial experts on Twitter and other social media are questioning why the government is endorsing particular individuals. However, MOS Electronics and Information Technology Rajiv Chandrasekhar has clarified on Twitter that the usage of MeitY logo does not mean that the government or the ministry endorses any person or digital platforms in any way. The minister has also added that he has advised more careful usage of government logos in future. We have also reached out to Google and YouTube as their logos were also on the advertisements. Some registered investment advisors that CNBC-TV18 spoke to said that the advertisements are problematic because it gives an impression that the financial influencers are the real expert when it comes to investment advice. And those who have registered with SEBI for the job are being burdened with compliance, even for regular communication with their clients. Important to note that SEBI has been cracking down on financial influencers in the past who have offered investment advice without the requisite registration and licenses to make sure that the retail investors do not fall for wrong, free-flowing advice on social media and other internet sites. Recently, SEBI had barred PR Sundar, a influencer with over 1 million followers on YouTube, from securities market for a year for providing advisory services without the requisite registration.
Right, Shivani, thank you so much for those details. Now, wrestlers say that they will continue fighting the battle against Federation Chief Brij Bhushan Singh, but in court and not on the streets. In a statement, the wrestlers said the government has fulfilled their promise of filing a charge sheet against Singh for alleged sexual harassment. Wrestlers also highlighted that they will wait for the implementation of assurances made by the government with respect to the Federation. Close to 3 lakh people in 15 districts in Assam remain affected, even as the flood situation saw gradual improvement. 874 villages are currently underwater. More than 200 commuters, including tourists, were stranded on the Chandigarh-Manali highway after heavy rainfall in Himachal Pradesh's Mandi district triggered landslides and led to a heavy traffic jam. The Mandi administration said restoration work is underway. And in international news, Russia has sought to restore calm after Wagner mercenary group halted its advance on Moscow. Russian media has reported that criminal charges against Wagner Group chief Prozin has not been dropped. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said that Wagner's rebellion revealed real cracks in the Russian government. CNBC's Steve Sedgwick and Karen So bring us the latest.
So, mercenary soldiers from the Wagner Group have now withdrawn from the southern Russian city of Rostov following a short-lived attempted mutiny, one of the most severe challenges to Vladimir Putin's authority in his more than 20 years in power. As part of the Belarus brokered deal to halt their march on Moscow, Wagner fighters are now believed to be returning to their bases. Their commander, Yevgeny Prigozhin, will move to Belarus, although his current whereabouts is unknown. This weekend's revolt against Vladimir Putin and top brass in Moscow, namely Shoigu and Gerasimov, started late on Friday evening when the Wagner Group commander Yevgeny Prigozhin released a video on Telegram accusing Russia's military leadership, notably the head of the armed forces and the defense minister, of carrying out a missile attack on his own soldiers and vowing to retaliate. Now, in response, Russia's security agency, the FSB, said Prigozhin was inciting an armed rebellion.
By Saturday morning, Wagner troops were seen surrounding Russia's military district headquarters in the city of Rostov-on-Don. Prigozhin had released a video showing him speaking to Russia's deputy defense minister and said he had taken control of the area. Shortly afterwards, the Russian President Vladimir Putin made an unscheduled national address. He accused Prigozhin and his group of mercenaries of betraying the country and vowed to crush the mutiny.
This is a blow to Russia, to our people, and our actions to protect the fatherland from such a threat will be tough. All those who deliberately embarked on the path of betrayal, who prepared an armed rebellion, embarked on the path of blackmail and terrorist methods, will suffer inevitable punishment, will answer both to the law and to our people.
In fast-moving events by Saturday evening, with Wagner soldiers approaching Moscow and the Russian capital on high alert, Prigozhin ordered his troops to stand down and turn around. Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko had brokered a deal between Putin and Prigozhin, while the mercenary leader said he had pulled his forces back to avoid bloodshed.
That's the latest on Russia. And with that, it is a wrap on this edition of Business 360. Many thanks for watching, but stay tuned to CNBC TV18. The news continues on the other side.